just so we make sure everything's working. Say going live here. Okay, it says we're live here. Let me play some.
Let's play some barbecuing music.
Some barbecue music. Let's see.
Is there a music called like Fiddle and Smoke?
Fiddle and Smoke. We'll try the country, but I don't like regular country. Let's do like American roots. Something.
Yeah, like some picking.
Some picking.
Some picking music.
All right, here we go. Country, American roots rock. Well,
yeah,
okay. I'm gonna have to get the audio. Let me turn it.
I like that
because I gotta have you up and the music down. Okay.
It's relaxing.
That's what I'm here for, is to relax you, man.
It is. It's not as relaxing as when we smoke some barbecue and get 24 Lone Stars.
That's right. That's right. All right, let me
the only affordable beer in Texas.
Wow, you're really small. Let me see here. There we go. Okay, I'm going to send you the link for the live.
Oh, cool.
Let's hope my brain doesn't explode trying to juggle all this stuff.
It might, Jackson. We might have to clean it up.
Oh, where'd you go?
And it's okay.
Why'd you disappear? Crap. Where'd you go? You disappeared on me.
Well, I've been known to do that.
I pushed a button and you disappeared, Brad.
Well, I'm very sorry about that. It's just like
there you are.
It's like cancel culture right now is what you're doing to me.
Oh, I don't get all political on here. Okay, I got the audio good. You're on here. Okay, I'm going to email you the link.
Do you own a PK grill, Jackson?
Huh?
Do you own a PK grill?
What's a PK grill?
Those aluminum grills that were made in Texas a long time ago and they make them in Arkansas?
Oh, no.
They're a charcoal grill, but they're like rectangular, not round like the Weber kettle.
Okay, here's the YouTube link so you can see what I'm working on.
Yes, sir.
I'm writing the email. When you get there, just mute it because it will be delayed. J. Okay. I think that should be good. It says we're on. Got 10 viewers already.
Well, that's great. I like how people can watch the behind-the-scenes stuff about setting up tech and explosions of heads.
All right, my camera switch works here.
Oh, cool.
All right, so I can do that.
Look at that.
I got my drawing glove on, so we're pretty serious now, man.
But what about your blue blocker glasses?
My blue blockers are upstairs. I need full spectrum.
We need that, Jackson. We need the blue blockers. That's your whole gear.
Yeah, the blue blockers are part of my gear. Okay, I think we're good. I
gotta pull up this YouTube link here so I can watch your amazing work here.
I'm even gonna record the audio for this on my Rodecaster thing. There we go. It's recording.
Hey, that's cool.
Dude, I'm fancy, man.
You're really a high-tech guy who says that you don't know how to use it. I think that's your secret.
Did you not know that I was fancy? Are you all good, Tim? Tim's awesome.
I don't know Tim, but he sure seems nice.
I just got the Alice in Wonderland cards back. Oh, that's upside down. Wait, I'm
Dude,
very
those look great.
I'm really
man.
small. I just realized that I'm really small on your screen, so it really doesn't matter. Here, can't you see the detail of these cards on the quarter size screen? It's pretty good music. So
Okay, let me get this link going because I want to see this magic here.
I just got the Alice in Wonderland cards back.
Whoa. We got to hit mute right away. There we go.
I hit mute. So here's what I'm thinking.
Yes, sir.
We just chit chat, little chat, and I'm gonna try. I did some sketching this morning just to kind of get my head around it. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that face study that I did, and just I don't know. I'm just gonna riff, and I'm gonna first create. I did some. I don't know if I showed you. I did some court cards too. Let me show you. I mean some index cards. Where'd they go? Well, thought I did. Yeah, here it is. It's like a background.
I didn't see the background, but I did see your character study of Aaron Franklin, and it was spot on.
Yeah, you can probably see it. It's coming up. I just got to find the layer.
Could you imagine if life was like this with like a delay, where like
Dude,
you were looking at a car and then it kind of moved in slow motion?
I feel like my life is on a delay. Can you see that?
Well, hey, I love the colors.
I'm just using that same kind of framework we use for the court, the whatever it's called. What do they call that? What do them kids call that? The box, the tuck case.
The tuck case. The kids call it the box.
Them kids call it the box. Them and their cell phones.
It's foldable paper. Is it called origami?
Is it called origami?
You know, I love what you've done with the deck, because if you don't know Aaron Franklin, he's really into kind of the 50s aesthetic. If you ever go to his restaurant.
Oh yeah.
And I think you nailed that.
And we're probably gonna do some Google searches of images. I actually really want to do, what I really want to do. I know I'm signing myself up for more work, but I want to do a different card for every. So like 4 kings of like him, like different face poses, and like the one I just sketched this morning just to kind of get acclimated to it. He's got like one of those big brisket knives, and then I had an idea of like doing one with like the big thing of pepper that he always uses when he's and then maybe like with a sopping, like the mopping brush that they smop it. What do they call it? We call it smop in my family. You gotta smop the.
You guys call it smop?
I don't know. We just call it like, you know, you gotta get the juices on it, and you brush it with the.
Is that a contraction of sauce and mop?
Yeah, smop it.
That's a great word.
It is patent pending.
Well, you need to trademark that right away.
Okay, let me pull up LegalZoom while we're doing this.
Absolutely, get Bob Shapiro on here.
Yeah, you gotta smop it. Let me pull these. This chat bubble up over here.
Now, who coined smop? Was it your mother or father?
Honestly, I think I just coined it right now, and I just said the wrong thing. My dad would say, you know, you got to mop up that gravy. You got to get that gravy mopped up, you know.
Was gravy kind of a word for everything?
Yeah, gravy is a widely used word. I mean, that could be anything. You know, it could be
very true.
It could be synonymous with like juices, sauce. This is
money
good
too. You could just
too.
say that, you know, you got some gravy.
You hear this slide guitar in the background? Come on.
We're grooving here, man.
I mean, we might as well stand up and two-step.
Well, in Texas, you know, the two-step refers to getting your car registration.
Yeah.
2 stickers, 1 step.
Yeah. This sounds more like a waltz to me. No, this is 3/4 time maybe.
It knows about all the literature that you're reading, and it got fancy.
Yeah, I'm definitely well read. That's for sure.
You are, man. You do a lot of book decks. I mean, stuff that I've never read. That makes me feel kind of dumb looking at your catalog.
I'm pretty good at BSing my way through it, for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of life, man. That's like smopping.
Did I ever tell you my Uncle Ray?
No.
So my Uncle Ray, he was the oldest of my 8 uncles. And
8 uncles. Oh my God.
And Uncle Ray, they grew up in West Texas. Uncle Ray never had a job. And it's not because he didn't have it's not because like he was lazy, but Uncle Ray could sell anything. And I remember when we would go to family reunions, we'd always go out to Uncle Ray's trunk and he'd have something else out there trying to peddle it off to one of the other uncles. And I remember one year, I thought it was the coolest thing. I was probably 10, and Uncle Ray goes, "Hey, y'all guys, come out to my car. I got to show you what's out in the trunk." And we know it's going to be something good when we're going out to the parking lot to see Uncle Ray's trunk. And in the trunk, what did he have? In the trunk, he had a 45 lever action rifle, like a Henry lever action rifle. And then in this big case, that it almost looked like, you know those bags that you put like a bowling ball in?
Yes, I do.
So it was like that, but it was big. He opens this bowling ball bag thing and pulls out this huge canister looking thing that had like a pistol grip handle on it. And the front was about this big. And he goes, "Jackson, you're going to like this. This is my 2 million candle power spotlight."
What the heck? Why would you need that?
Well, basically everything that came out of Ray's truck, you could have said, "Why would you need that?"
Where is Ray today?
He passed away. I think he passed away in like 2006, 7. No, later than that. But I remember that we went out to his car, and it was daytime. And I remember we waited till the nighttime, and he took me back out to his car, and we always met like at a Embassy Suites for our family reunions. And me and Ray went out to his parking lot. I'm like 8 years old, and we're shooting that 2 million candle power spotlight all over the parking lot at other people's, like up in people's rooms and stuff.
That's so funny. Now was Ray kind of like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite?
No. Uncle Ray was just, he could sell anything, and he never had a job because he just always was wheeling and dealing different stuff. All right, looks like Aaron's here. Let's see.
So he was a hustler.
He was totally a hustler. Totally a hustler.
Now, what did your dad think of him, though? Did your dad respect that or not?
Oh, my dad loved it. Well, he was like, yeah, because Uncle Ray was like, we had this bet with Uncle Ray that he said that he could BS about any subject for at least 15 minutes, even if he didn't know anything about it. And so we'd always bet him, and we'd say, "Okay, Uncle Ray, talk to us about migration patterns of doves." And he'd be like, "Well, let me tell you about this migration patterns of doves." And he'd just BS for like 15 minutes. All right, looks like Aaron's here.
Oh, good.
What's
it's
up,
like
man?
Having a visitor come.
So what about the doves? What's going on?
Well, we're talking
Hey, Aaron,
about.
how are you?
We were talking
I'm good.
about.
How are you guys?
We're doing
Fantastic.
great. We're talking about my Uncle Ray. He's passed away, but I had 9 uncles, and they all grew up in West Texas. And Uncle Ray, he never had a job, but he was always wheeling and dealing. And I remember when we'd have family reunions, he'd always have something in his trunk, and he was trying to sell to the other brothers. And he'd go, and one year he was like, "Hey, Jackson, come out to my trunk. I got to show you something." And he had a lever action 45 rifle and this huge 2 million candle power spotlight. And that night, me and Uncle Ray were in the parking lot of NBC Suites in, I think, Abilene, Texas, just shooting the spotlight all over the place. And I think maybe the cops came by, but I can't remember. But he had this thing where we would bet him, and he said he could BS about any subject, even if he didn't know anything about it, for 15 minutes and sound like he knew what he was talking about. And we would always bet him and give him some like random topic, and he'd BS about it. But that's it. I like that wallpaper behind you. Looks pretty sweet.
This stuff.
That looks like a playing card. Like my mind thinks in playing cards, and I was like, that's a playing card back design right to go.
You know, I'm glad you say that because I did not plan that. This is just my dining room.
Okay, that's awesome.
Wow.
Well, first off, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining Brad and I. Brad's all decked out. Look at him, man. He's got the Franklin.
That's a sweet hat.
But you haven't seen the mug yet, though.
Oh,
I got mine. Oh, it's over there. I got my barbecue book. It's down over there. Cause I gotta show I gotta rep my pride here, my Franklin pride.
That's cheers to you, Aaron. Here.
Look at that.
well, unfortunately, this one's empty, but cheers to my real coffee mug.
I got my
How many
book.
coffees you had this morning?
It's actually my first one. I'm getting a little bit later of a start on the coffee than usual. I I'll have to go refresh here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I remember on your old PBS special talking about the first thing you did was train the employees how to run the espresso machine.
It's true. And they still are like, can you set the grinder for us?
Do you have an espresso machine at the joint up there?
We do. We have an espresso barbecue sauce.
Oh, that sounds good.
That is the real reason why we have an espresso machine.
Well, it's definitely a reason to make your espresso machine a tax write-off. That's for sure.
And also just, I love espresso.
Yeah. Well, I've already had I think 6 cups of coffee.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You know, during this pandemic, I've really weaned myself off of crazy amounts of caffeine.
Yeah.
It's, I used to, back when we wrote the book and stuff, referencing that. And, my God, I'd probably, get to work at 12:30 in the morning, have a spro, do some prep. About an hour later, have another one.
What'd you call it? A spro? That sounds.
Have another one. And yeah, I mean, I used to even have like a nightcap espresso, about 9:30 at night. I'm like, I'm just gonna have my last espresso for the night.
And you called it a spro?
Like a Fernet. What's that?
You called it a spro? Is that what you called it?
Spro.
And that sounds booze.
This is like smop.
Yeah, we were talking about like mopping the juice and the gravy on top of the briskets, and I was telling Brad my family called it smopping because it's sauce and mop. You smop it.
That's pretty good. Yeah, we got a lot of weird terms around here too.
Yeah. All right, so just so you know, I have absolutely no plans or like framework of what I'm going to do. However, Brad and I have done lots of these lives together. I do these every morning, and basically, we'll just chit chat and talk about barbecue in Texas. And I'm just going to. I've already done a little bit of kind of concept work. Can you? Were you able to click on the YouTube link to see what I'm working on?
No, I have not. I can though if you want.
Yeah. So click on the YouTube link that's in that email, and then mute it because we'll be delayed. And if you don't mute it, you'll hear yourself talking, and it'll be really weird.
For sure.
But at least that way you can kind of see what I'm working on because, I guess I could share my screen, but then if I share my screen and we lose you guys as faces. But I've already done a test. I've already done kind of a test sketch.
Oh yeah.
Of just a face I grabbed off the Googles of you, and I kind of did it in kind of a 50s era style. And what I'm thinking I'm gonna do today is just as we talk, I'm just gonna sketch you as a king of spades, and I have some different ideas, and I'm gonna utilize some of the design stuff that we did on the tuck case. And using some of those, the Franklin barbecue colors, just working in here. Let me see if I can pull that face study up here. Nope.
Well, I think the real challenge is going to be to make me not look, how do you say, like a complete moron.
Actually,
quite the opposite.
I think it actually looks pretty good. All right,
it does.
Here's the face study I did. And we're going to be a little delayed on YouTube, but it'll pop up soon enough. But it's kind of a halftone on paper, and I always have to watch over here to see if we're online. Everything's good. It's coming. So this is the little funny caricature face study I did. You see that on the YouTube one?
Yeah.
Okay. He's probably looking at it, Brad. Man, this sucks.
No, he's like, this is like looking in the mirror, but it's
like looking in the mirror.
Halftone.
All right, let me pull this up.
I mean, that's pretty accurate. I mean, maybe
grab this.
It's not quite that big, but otherwise, nailed it.
All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make.
As long as you can draw me sort of clean shaven. I shaved late last night, and this happened.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I know guys like that though. That's why I said really.
Oh, I feel bad for them too. I mean, this is probably like 3 days, but.
So this is
like the dude on Mad Men. Apparently, that guy would have to shave during the shoots, like during the day.
Yeah, you can tell too.
Was that the guy that played Donald Draper?
Yep.
John Hamm.
God, that guy seems like he would have to shave. Just like so much manliness.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably really good at driving and shaving.
I've seen guys do that before with like the little Remington, the handheld ones.
That's crazy. Don't envy that at all. I
Are
mean,
you a straight razor guy?
I guess.
Aaron? Are you a straight razor guy?
No, I'm a Mach 3 kind of fella.
Okay. Well, you do
So
call
almost,
your espressos spros, so I would think you're a straight razor kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a straight shooter, but not a straight razor.
Yeah, that's a T-shirt right there. Straight shooter, but not a straight razor. So what I'm gonna do first is just create just use the elements that we did on the tuck case that I had. You saw me pulling up there. I'm just gonna use those elements to just create kind of our framework for our cards. And we put on some nice twangy music that I have the copyright ability to use.
Nice.
You know what? I remember waiting in line at your restaurant, Aaron, in like 2014, and we got there at like 6 a.m. and we were already like 15 deep in the line, and you played Stonewall Jackson Waterloo, like when the music kicked on. It's one of my all-time favorite songs, and it made me say to my friend, this isn't so bad waiting in line. It's true.
I think we're at the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't you love that song?
Yeah, I mean, in the playlist for the restaurant, we're all like pretty tired of hearing the same songs all the time. But I, through the years, I've had like various playlists, but I can't. They've always been like, oh, well, pre-1964, like,
yeah,
or like I've got these like little like weird nerdy pockets of old country. But it's sad though, they're not making any new old country.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll never be able to update the playlist.
So if you had to like pick 3 songs that encapsulate the playlist that is at the joint, what are the songs?
I would say Treasure of Love, George Jones.
Okay.
Tiger by the Tail, Buck Owens.
Nice.
And probably maybe some like Johnny Paycheck or something.
Oh, nice. That's a good list.
You should release a soundtrack, Aaron. And I'm not being funny. I mean, it was great music. It was like a DJ was inside.
Yo, DJ Franklin.
Hey, you could do it. I wouldn't put it past you because I have the Franklin Steak book, and I'm like, can you get better than the barbecue book? But see, I like how you go real geeky, like the Kamado grill versus the PK versus the kettle. Like, I like the kind of aside aspect of your book where you geek out on gear. I'm not really a gearhead, but I just like to read your opinion on why would you get an aluminum versus, whatever.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And so all the stuff you just mentioned, actually starting today, I'm working on a 3rd book, the 3rd of the trilogy. And it'll be called Franklin Smoke. And, and actually we dig a lot deeper, like on the Kamado stuff and how to modify, and actually just have a PK grill coming out. It's called the PK AF.
Yes.
It's coming out here this fall, this fall. And it's all like the tinkery things that like we talk about in the book and in the steak book. I'm like, I wish this was a little taller. Oh, it would be neat if I had a shelf over here. So we kind of did all that stuff.
That's
and
cool.
Built a PK grill. So that'll be in the new book too.
Now, as a color geek, did you Pantone match the color of your AF PK grill to your design?
Well, Sherwin-Williams makes custom powder coat for us. And we nailed the Franklin color. And then the other one, which is really cool, is a matte black. That's what our barbecue pits come in. It's Franklin Coal.
Yes.
It's our proprietary color with Sherwin-Williams. But the PK one has blue aluminum flake. So it's like boat flake a little bit. If you see it in the sun, you can see the blue kind of shimmer in it.
That's cool.
Now, how many tests did you want to see back before you approved it?
We probably did maybe 2 or 3. They nailed it because we'd already been doing working with Sherwin-Williams on the barbecue pits, the offsets. So we already kind of had all the stuff kind of tested, and PK's been powder coating their normal PKs forever, so we knew kind of the parameters and the profiles for the powder coat.
That's awesome.
It was just really playing around with the color.
I always think about Sherwin-Williams logo, that cover the world. Do you ever see that, like on the trucks where it has the globe being doused in paint? And I always wonder, like, who invented that? What was the meaning behind it? And like, I don't know. I love the logo. It's so recognizable, but it's almost doomsday.
Some marketing company nailed it.
Yes.
That reminds me. I was just reading an article a couple of days ago of the guy that designed the smiley face. The yellow smiley face.
Yes.
And I remember, and it was like, he did it because his corporate office asked him to design like a sticker or something to raise like morale in the office, and he took like 10 minutes and designed it, and he got paid like $45, you know?
Crazy. There's so many stories like that though, where the person who invented something, or like, Mark Twain was arguing about copyrights, back then, like saying, why should my rights of patent end when I die? And then 100 years after, how do you pick the number of years where like you can just reproduce my work?
Yeah.
Tricky stuff.
What's the Mickey Mouse conundrum with the?
I'm gonna try to outlive the copyright on the Franklin Smoke book, and then just photocopy it and collect it all. I don't know how I'll spend it though. I won't be able to move.
Yeah.
There's not much there for you.
Now I remember I used to live in Wimberley, right outside of Wimberley. But I lived there probably from like 2000, I want to say 2015 to like 2018. But I had to move because I have some serious respiratory issues and my allergies. Austin was basically killing me allergy wise, and we had to get up on out. But I remember I got my wife got me this book, the barbecue book. Was this this is the first one, right?
Yep, that's the first one.
Yeah, she got me that for like a present, and that's how I learned that and the PBS stuff. That's how I learned to cook the old brisket. I'm smoking.
Very cool. Well, hopefully I haven't led you down too dark of a path.
No. I'm smoking some pork ribs right now. Don't get mad at me. I always make fun of people here in Tennessee and their pork. That's not barbecue.
Pork ribs. That's actually probably one of my favorite things to cook.
Yeah.
And sadly, we call pork ribs a short cook at the restaurant. It's like, oh, you're gonna do a short cook.
Yeah.
A smooth 6 hours.
Oh yeah. What kind of pork do y'all cook the most of?
We do more pork ribs. We do full spares.
Okay.
We get really big ones, and then we cut them shorter so they have thicker plates.
Yeah, that's what I'm cooking right now. Some spare. I just went and like at 6:30 in the morning yesterday. Went and we had purchased a half a cow, and we went and picked it up and got some spare ribs and all kinds of good stuff.
Cool.
I picked up your food, Aaron, like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I said to my wife, the pork ribs are so underrated. Like the brisket gets all the attention, but the pork ribs are just, and I like to go to Memphis and try all the, the places there, Cozy Corner, etc. And I said, these are the best pork ribs I've ever had.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the pork ribs are kind of the sleeper on the menu. I think that's about the trickiest thing to cook as far as just like details, because you have such a small window where you could really mess things up, and you just really got to really pay a lot of attention to the pork ribs, whereas a brisket, is extended for X hours. And if you get a little off course, you still can correct your path a little bit. But yeah, I think when we nail the ribs, I think that's a real sleeper.
Absolutely. It's funny though, in your book, the barbecue book, my favorite part of the story was kind of your come up, how you were talking about like Stacy was a waitress, and then, you were, I think, working at a coffee shop or something. And it's just amazing to think, like, did you ever have like a goal, like maybe if I can afford like a house with $2,000 mortgage, I've really made it? Or maybe, did you ever have like a goal of like where to be, like, I don't know, because you probably could have never assumed being this popular.
No, I didn't have good foresight on this one. I definitely had goals. I think most of my goals really weren't money oriented. They were more kind of like happiness oriented, like where I want to be in life. And I've surpassed that. I feel very lucky. But yeah, I think early on, like kind of like everybody's like, oh, well, it sure would be neat to buy a house one day.
Yep.
Or something like that. But yeah, I guess so.
That's awesome.
I didn't really think too much about that kind of stuff.
It's amazing though. Like I always have this thought, like if I could have talked to myself at 14 and said, you're going to be 42 and you're going to be designing playing cards, I would have said, get out of here. Who cares? This is nonsense. So if you could talk to the 14-year-old Aaron Franklin in Bryan, Texas, I assume, and say, hey, one day you're going to be like this famous barbecue guy, would you say that's nonsense, or would you say I can see it?
Oh, I definitely could have seen it.
Really? Even then?
Yeah, I think my trajectory was so predictable in hindsight, because my parents had a barbecue place for a little bit when I was a kid. My grandparents owned a record store that later turned into a guitar shop.
Oh, wow.
And pretty much I've become a perfect combination of my dad and my grandfather.
Were you
cool.
homeschooled? I think I read.
Yeah, I talked to my parent when I was in 5th grade. I I was successful in that. I guess it wasn't the greatest move in hindsight. But I talked to my parents into letting me homeschool so I could spend more time at the music store.
That's
And
awesome.
That's about the age I really started like working, like having like actual shifts and stuff. And I was doing prep at my parents' barbecue restaurant when I was about 11 or 12.
What was your parents' barbecue joint called?
It was called Ben's Barbecue. It was down in Bryan. It's not there anymore, but it was kind of I think it started, probably in the 40s, and they bought it from a fella named Ben, which worked out really good because my dad's first name was also Ben. Yeah,
Nice.
Benjamin Franklin. You're right. I got a lot of prank calls as a kid. But yeah, so I guess, that guy had the same name as my dad, so it had to happen. They had to pick up this restaurant.
That's really cool.
Were you an only child?
Yep, and I still am.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I know how it works. You get kind of a lot of free time to geek out on a lot of stuff.
I had so much time because, everybody worked all the time. So I would just really spend most of my time in the back room of the record store when I was little. Because they, back in the 80s, they did, 8-track, player repairs, cassette player repairs. They made mix. People would come in for like their dance things, and we would take the records out of the bins, go in the back and put them on mixtapes and then sell them like $1 a song or whatever. And that was totally a thing back in the 80s. But I spent most of my time in the back just taking, old studio equipment apart and putting things back together and really kind of learned how to do electronics. When I was about 12, I started doing guitar repair in the back, and I quickly became the repair person. And then, that led into me getting really nerdy on learning how to build tube amps and repair stuff like that, and also playing music. But yeah, I think my path is pretty predictable.
That's awesome.
But the thing you probably couldn't have guessed is that you could become this famous nowadays with barbecue, because in the old days you didn't have social media, so nobody could say, oh, what's a Mueller Barbecue and Taylor ranked on Yelp, and then let's drive there from Yuma, Arizona. You couldn't have foreseen the fame that came with barbecue, I'm sure.
No clue. Yeah, that one really caught me off guard because, and I still don't really mess much with social media stuff. But when we opened, there really wasn't much of a barbecue scene. I mean, it was you had to pile in a car with your friends. You had to know where this place was in Taylor. You had a hard copy of a Texas Monthly magazine or something like that. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't like it is now.
Do you get recognized when you go to HEB or something?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, not much with a mask on.
So speaking of that, what is so are you guys open? Because I remember Brad telling me you guys are still about the dining area and stuff like that.
We're still just open for curbside pickup, but we have set a date to reopen the dining room, and it's a big ship to steer, so it's still pretty far out.
Yeah.
It'll be in November sometime.
Gotcha.
You know what I love that you did during the whole last year was that live with Matthew McConaughey designing a burger.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was awesome. I loved how he wanted jalapenos in every bite, I think was what he said.
It's okay, we'll put 32 jalapeno slices on it.
Hey, you know who solved that problem was P. Terry's. P. Terry has that diced jalapeno, so the jalapeno is evenly spread across the bun.
Yep, solid move.
Is it like a relish or something?
Similar, yeah. Well, I don't know relish, because relish, yeah, I guess less liquid than a relish, but it's definitely diced and evenly distributed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just chopped jalapenos, but you could put it on a bun and kind of smear it around a little bit.
Yeah, I always look at that and think that's an underrated food engineering move.
Yeah, all in the details.
It is. And it's funny because when you look on YouTube and you Google Aaron Franklin, everything is the secret of Aaron Franklin. He gets Wagyu tallow. The secret is he has coffee grinds in his rub. And I told my wife, I said the secret is he works his ass off, and then he's detail oriented. So every single detail has to meet his standard because he's a picky person. You have to kind of be a picky person and then uphold details and work hard. That's the secret.
Very true. Yeah. And isn't that true for everything?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's the Wagyu tallow conspiracy comes up quite a bit onto why you have great brisket.
Wagyu
That's
tallow?
hilarious.
Yeah.
Nope. I can debunk that real quick.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
That just sounds too much of an expensive additive here.
Yeah.
But when I read that, I thought like, okay, so me as an amateur, I can go in the backyard and do like the snake method in my Weber grill and do a brisket, but then I just buy this Wagyu tallow, dump it on, and I have mastered Aaron Franklin's secret.
Boom.
Yeah, sometimes I tell people that they're like, "Oh, what's the secret ingredient?" I'm like, "Oh, well, we marinate everything in unicorn blood," or just come up with something. I'm like, "Really?
It's
Write that down."
yeah. Okay, can you sell it though? I mean, you should put it on the store. Get Stacy to merchandise it.
Oh, absolutely, unicorn blood. We'll do it like in a black metal band font.
But you know what? It would have a great logo though.
Or you could just do like, you could like package something, then you call it like your secret sauce, or it's just like, like the secret brine, and it's just salt, and it just has the directions, add this to some water, and you call it your...
a can of air.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you open it up, but someone just magically knocks on the door and just gives you a hug, and then they disappear.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. See, that's something an only child can dream of, right?
That's right.
That's funny. I saw your list of places you like to eat in Austin, and of course you said Veracruz, which I love.
Oh,
I think
Veracruz. That's one thing
Yeah.
I miss is Veracruz.
hard to beat.
I'd go to that one over there by Radio Coffee.
Yeah, I don't get that far south very often. Yeah, and I guess this pandemic has put a damper on a lot of things for a lot of people. But boy, the restaurant scene around town is, I feel like we don't even really eat at the same places that we did.
Yeah.
Just because so many places closed and aren't open for certain types of service and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm ready to
Doesn't that say a lot though, that even in a town like Austin that's booming like that you still have restaurants that aren't there anymore?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I wonder what the actual number is of restaurants that have closed up.
Yeah. My friend Chewy Tovar in Los Angeles, he managed a lot of like really popular restaurants and food trucks, etc. And he was telling me like the margins, and I'm like, is that it? And he's like, oh, you have no idea how tough this business is.
It's real bad.
I can understand.
I mean,
that.
even like right now, we're paying over $6 a pound for raw brisket, and think about like how much you can charge for really actually like how much people are really going to pay for a pound of brisket.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, it is rough.
I know. It's like I remember going to Rudy's in like 2010 in Austin, and I don't remember what the price of brisket was. I think it was I want to say 13 a pound or something like that. I think now it's probably at about 22 right there.
Yeah, and it's weird, if you look at other barbecue places too, people started doing like half pound prices.
Yes, that's right.
They're like, oh, $16 a half pound. It's like, oh, $16 a pound. $32 later.
Oh man.
You know what though? That pricing strategy works, because I remember when Disneyland did annual passes and then you could pay monthly, and everyone was like, only $35 a month. It's so cheap. But if you would have hit them at $350 or $400, they'd be like, I could never afford that.
Yeah, it's all in how you put it.
You need a brisket subscription service. Jackson can do that for you.
Well, we better do it while the prices are high.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think they're ever going to decrease again?
Well, that's the thing, is, in theory, yes, the prices are going to come down, but they never do. And it's like they go up and then they never drop. And, commodity prices drop, but we don't buy commodity meats. So when the demand is high and the, supply is low, they're just going to be expensive. And then, they always try to project and like, well, in 3 months, this holiday is going to happen, this weather's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. They keep going up, but they don't really seem to be coming down. We had a big price increase about 3 years ago. And I was actually talking to the GM yesterday about this. He's like, hey, remember when we raised our prices? And, because we realized that we were actually losing money. Stacy called one day.
Wow, really?
Hey, so our bank account's actually getting smaller. I'm like, well, that's weird. There must be something hinky going on. And then because we don't really check brisket prices that often because we don't have a choice. We have to buy what we have to sell.
Right.
We don't have that luxury. I looked into it. It's like, oh my God, we're actually charging less than it cost us to produce this meat. So we raised our prices, and we didn't raise them to where they should have been. We raised them for as much as we felt that people wouldn't get mad at us for charging, It raised the prices, and then yesterday we're talking about it's like, oh yeah, but prices never dropped for us. They just kept going up. So now we're still lagging behind. But you can only charge perceived market value. If a barbecue place really charged what they needed to, you'd be buying like an $80 sandwich.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's an exaggeration probably, but I mean, it would be a heck of a lot more expensive than it really is.
Absolutely.
Also, you've got like a piece of meat, say you spend, or right now we're spending about 130, 140 bucks on a raw brisket. That's wholesale, about 45,000 pounds a month.
Wow.
And we're still paying that much. And then you trim off, say, roughly when you start off with a 15-pound brisket, you're going to sell about 4.75, 4.68 pounds of that brisket. That's all your yield really is at the end of the day. After you cut off a little piece of fat here, it cooks down, you cut it on the board, some crumbles fall off. You're not going to charge somebody for that. And then so you've got that, and then you've got pickles that you can't charge for, onions that you can't charge for, a loaf of bread that costs you $2.40.
Oh man.
And then butcher paper, and then black pepper. We spend, over $1,000 a week on just black pepper.
$1,000 a week on pepper? Wow.
We go through so much black pepper because it's mostly black pepper, and it's expensive. And then when you factor in the cost of goods to produce this brisket, you're like, oh my gosh, this thing cost me $200 to make. That doesn't include labor, by the way. That's just hard costs.
Or real estate on a smoker. I mean, if you were to like amortize how much space you're taking up versus land cost, et cetera, I mean, it goes up further.
Yeah, and then you factor in firewood. It costs I think $43.16 to burn a fire for 30 minutes, or what?
How much?
1 hour for like firewood.
Yeah.
How much did that cost again?
It's like $43.16, I think, per hour.
See, and this is the stuff that young Aaron Franklin never thought of, setting up a little trailer in a parking lot, next to
Oh gosh, no way! But this stuff was cheap back then.
Yeah, post oak.
Oh, I know.
Post oak way cheaper.
I paid $1.23 a pound for some pretty decent briskets back in the day, and that price stuck forever.
Wow.
And look at the price of oxtail. Like my wife would always cook with oxtail, and it was a throwaway good.
Through the roof. Everything's through the roof.
Oh, I saw a pack of oxtail that was more than like a prime steak. It was $120 for this pack, and I thought, oh my God, who's buying that?
Yeah, I was at Central Market here in Austin a couple weeks ago, and I was going to make some fajitas. We went camping with some friends, and I'm buying all avocados and onions and making salsas and stuff. And I went to the meat counter. I was like, oh, I'm going to get some. Pulled out my phone, calculated. I was like, okay, it's going to cost me $224 to buy this flank steak.
Huh.
Or I was looking at like outside skirt, inside skirt, like whatever. It was $224 to feed 3 families fajitas.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
I didn't buy it. I went somewhere else. But even I was going to order it through the restaurant and just get like a case of something, because oftentimes that's cheaper, and you just freeze it and use the rest of it later. And even that was still too expensive.
Oh my, it's unreal. And
Yeah.
You're right. It never goes back down. Gas will never be 30 cents a gallon.
Same thing. Nobody's going to notice when things drop. They only notice when they go up. So why are you going to drop it? Because you're shooting yourself in the foot again.
Yeah.
Did you ever question, like, I wonder what it is in 10 years though? Like, I wonder what the price of a brisket would be like at your restaurant. I wonder what a pound of brisket will be in 10 years.
God, I don't even want to think about it. I mean, it's just not cool. Very not cool.
Yeah, I remember
It's
when
funny.
I was in high school, I could fill my Bronco up for like $9.
Oh yeah, man. Could all fill up our cars with gas for less than $10.
Yeah, yep.
I know, it's crazy. It's like, I think even here, like the gas now is $2.80, and I remember a year ago it was $1.60.
Yeah, I drive a diesel and it cost me about $135.
Now, what do you drive, Aaron? I want to get into your nitpickiness with cars now. What do you drive?
I drive a GMC 3500 diesel with a Duramax and Allison transmission,
Dang.
all that stuff.
And what made you choose that over like a Cummins, like a Dodge?
So Cummins are great. I'm not a big Dodge guy. I had a Dodge a long time ago and didn't have the greatest experience with it. And I just replaced a Ford F-350 that I've been driving forever. And that engine really it didn't perform as well as it should have. I had a lot of repair problems with that. I think, over the 10 years that I drove that truck, because I'm definitely the guy like buy a new truck, drive it till the wheels fall off.
Especially diesel.
On the Ford, the wheels never fell off, so I just kept fixing it. But everything all the mechanical stuff on the inside of the truck just fell apart. And I think over the years, I had the cab off that thing 4 times for like major engine repairs.
Wow.
Really big stuff. And then once, on an old car, especially something like that, because diesels are really expensive to maintain, but if you do what I do for a living, you kind of have to drive a big truck. Like I drive the smallest truck I can get by with and still do my job. These trailers don't pull themselves, but, getting into the old truck, it's like, well, I've spent every repair is $12,000. It's like, God, well, I guess I'm just going to keep it. Maybe I'll get another 6 months out of this thing. And then, like everybody, like, feel like on the Cosby Show or something like that. It's like, oh, the old car's dead. You got to go get a new one. But anyway, so I jumped ship from Power Stroke to Duramax. And that was over all the Power Stroke repairs over the years, asking all the diesel mechanics like, hey, what do you never work on? Like, oh, Duramax. Hey, if you're going to buy a diesel, what would you get? Like, oh, Chevy GMC, hands down.
Really?
And that was across the board what everybody told me. So, and I like GMC a little better anyway. I had a GMC 3/4 ton many years ago, and it was a great truck. I bought it for $3,200. Awesome truck.
Wow. I know that my buddy has his grandpa's first generation Cummins, like the 86, I think it was, the first generation. And I asked him a couple months ago, what have you ever repaired on it? And he said the windshield wiper, like fluid thing stopped. And that was it. I think it has 300,000 miles on the original engine.
Wow.
Gold. That's awesome.
My dad would always say, hey, Jackson, you know what the difference between a GMC and a Chevy is, right? They use lock washer nuts on the GMCs.
That's funny. So Jackson's got the slicing knife here, and that's one thing that's overlooked on.
I went to the Merch website and looked at the slicing knife they got.
It's a Dexter, probably.
It is.
Hey, I've watched your PBS shows there, and I'm not saying I learned that by myself.
What's that?
I watched your PBS special, so I'm not saying I learned that by myself.
Well, and talking back about prices, God, we sound like a bunch of old farts here. When we started doing barbecue, or started the trailer 12 years ago, that knife was $22. And now it's like retails for, I think, $49.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Dexter was always like affordable because I have a spatula.
Oh, and they're still affordable because all the other knives are 5 times that still.
Were you I know you like Japanese stuff. Were you a Japanese knife guy?
I like Japanese blades with the Western handles.
Yeah.
Okay, like the old Wusthof kind of chef's knife handle.
Yeah, something like that. Ninox is kind of my favorite, like knife for just like balance and dexterity.
What's that brand called?
Ninox, Nenox.
Whoa.
Oh, that's interesting. I never heard of them.
So it's a production Japanese knife. They have Western handles though, and man, those blades are great. They're awesome. I'm a big fan of like Murray Carter's knives and stuff, but they're super expensive.
Yeah, what's that company?
They don't really not the best blade for working.
Do you still have the passion to cook at home all the time after being in the business so long?
We don't really cook at home. I also don't have a kitchen right now. I've been working on this house for 2 years, and I probably have 10 years left of it. It's a hardcore DIY project. But yeah, just got countertops a few weeks ago. That was a big step.
Now, what did you do? Did you get butcher block?
No, we found some nice stone and did like some emerald quartzite, and then found some nice slabs.
What about those awesome old Formica counters with the boomerang design?
Love that stuff.
I love that too. Your trays are freaking amazing, and they're from Huntington Beach, California. Those blue trays you have. I remember Stacy was telling me that when you first started, you would try to find like old ones because you thought you could never get them again. So you were scouring around for the old lunch trays, and then you found that they were still in business.
Yeah, well, and they had been. We initially bought those funky blue trays because they were at a used restaurant supply place here in town, and they wanted like $3 a piece. I'm like, oh, that's too much. I'm not buying
Right.
that. And one day I was in there right before we were about to open up the building, getting out of the trailer. The guy's like, God, he's been sitting here forever. How about $1.50 or whatever the price was? I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Man, these things are hideous. And Stacy hated them. She thought they were so ugly.
Really?
I bought them because they were used and there were like, 50 of them or something.
Were they like the blue ones you have?
The blue ones. So we still have a lot of the original blue ones, but they don't have the logo on there. But then later on, and they were from the early 80s. Camtray had discontinued that color, back in the 80s. And then Stacy hollered at them and they started making them again. And now we produce our own trays in that blue.
Yeah, and on the Franklin Steak book, you have kind of a beige colored cam tray, I think. Is that like a new custom
I still
thing?
collect old cam trays. In fact, I've got 25 showing up today. I bought off of eBay.
Oh, really? But don't tell anyone that. Now you're going to have competition.
Well, now you guys will know what's on the third book.
Yeah, I'm going to go search completed items right now. I can't wait to see your third book. I mean, if anyone out there is watching this, you have to get the books. I mean, if you think that you know a lot about steak or whatever, I mean, you get I remember watching a Texas A&M YouTube video of you at the meat class, like the meat sciences class.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the butcher one.
Like
to talk about the
meat
cuts. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, those are fun.
So anything you get involved in, though, you seem to want to know the source of it, the origin, why it works the way it works.
Yeah, I just like to geek out on stuff.
What are some of your lesser known kind of hobbies that you like to just kind of relax and learn about?
String theory, time travel. I've been building a flux capacitor.
That sounds great. As long as it's not like the one that burned Uncle Rico's nuts.
21.1 gigawatts.
No, not really. I like to build stuff. I do. Been fiddling around with building, lots of carpentry and stuff on the house. I get really nerdy on electrical systems.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or
really?
not. So I do all my own electrical work, of course.
All city,
a lot of money.
All code approved.
I kind of like to renovate houses, I guess. It's kind of, I'd like to say hobby, but all my hobbies kind of turn into jobs eventually.
I love that.
Well, it's like look at your building. I mean, you're so fortunate that came up at that time and went into your hands. I mean, even the outside of the building is so awesome.
Yeah, that was we really lucked into that location.
But didn't you say that you were kind of watching it as a failing barbecue restaurant and you kind of had a hint, to yourself that it was going to be going?
Yeah, everybody that drives around in their neighborhood is like, oh, I don't know if that place is going to make it. And I kept just kind of eyeing it and you're like, man, this building would be absolutely perfect for us. It was cheap, big box checked off right there. It needed a lot of work, which I can do. Another big, check on that one. And, we contacted the owner of the building. He's like, well, I don't know. I don't want to kick these guys out or anything. It's like, no, we don't want to either. But let me know if he just, I want dibs on this place if this guy leaves. And then one day he called up and was like, well, looks like he just never showed back up.
Oh, wow.
It's yours. Yay.
And who did your original logo?
Blair Richardson did that. And she lives in Mexico now, but she used to live in Austin, but she did the original kidney bean logo for us. Friend of a friend,
Blair Richardson. Does she do other logos now still?
I think, yeah, she does. A Little Mule, I think is the name of her business. I should look.
It's so iconic to me. Maybe because I live here, I don't know, but the logo is awesome. I'm a big design nerd, so I look at the logo and I'm like, well, what was the inspiration? What did you tell her? How did you get that shape? Was it just
so I'm a big fan of all that nerdy Route 66 Americana stuff, Googie architecture.
Same here.
Southern California, the big pylons and all the coffee shop stuff. Love that
Dips
stuff.
Coffee.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm from.
And so, I'd been collecting books forever of, roadside attractions, kind of like Clark Griswold kind of nerd.
Do you have the Googie books? The book's just called Googie by I forget his name.
Yeah, it's over here somewhere. Yeah, I've got the newer, the Redux, if you will.
Yep. That's I have it too.
but man, great stuff. And, even when I travel, if I go to LA, I track down all those places.
Not many left now.
There's not many left. It's really sad.
Pans is the only like real authentic one. Like when you go to Pans, I remember the owner used to be in there. She just passed away. I think she was like 98, but you would talk to her about the floor and it was just like, you've been to Pans by LAX?
I have. And those, man, the seats at the bar, God,
yeah.
So cool.
I know. So that was your inspiration.
I'm a nut for terrazzo as well. So, but yeah, so that was kind of the idea, it was kind of like 50s, 60s, like, I kind of go from like cornball, 50s, Pink Flamingo, Don Featherstone action, love vintage campers, obviously. And then all the way up through like 60s, kind of, like more like articulate kind of architecture stuff. But that was kind of, I gave Blair like all these things and I kind of been hand-drawn stuff. And, even up until that point, we had been doing backyard barbecues for quite a few years. We would do like a big one every summer and I would make handbills because I played music and I was always at clubs and stuff. So I would do little flyers for our barbecues and I would Photoshop in like, cool like signs and I kind of lay it out in a real kind of googie way. So we had a lot of stuff to go off of for the original logo stuff.
See, that's why I love the logo, is because we like the same stuff. It's like, I know that there was a place in like, I want to say Lakewood, like by the Long Beach area called maybe Henry's Broiler, I think. And then Bob's Big Boy took it over, but then they rebuilt it like the original. And then they have the awesome logo. It says Broiler. It's like the greatest font of all time.
Cool. Love it.
I know. I love all that stuff. And it's sad that it's gone because I look at the Googie redo and I'm like, oh, that's gone. That's gone. That's a Best Buy. That's done. And it's amazing how like Los Angeles just completely has such disregard for history. Like Pasadena, California has a lot of regard.
Still have more than Austin.
You think so?
I think so. I mean, I think a lot of those places, most of them have been demoed, but I mean, some places have been saved, but I think at least in LA, I feel like a lot of those places just get kind of repurposed and they kind of keep their buildings, like maybe it's a used car lot or whatever. I feel like here in Austin, it's like, 20 years old, tear it down, build something new. Because we don't have anything of that era really even left in Austin at all. At least, I mean, obviously LA is a lot bigger, but I don't know. I feel like they might do a slightly better job than us here. Well,
what was that steakhouse on Burnett Road? Like I read about it and it had been there since like the 40s. I forget the name.
Frisco?
What is it?
Old Frisco?
Yes,
one of
that's
the last
right.
Restaurants.
Yeah, and it was before that it had a different name, I think, and the history was amazing. The owner guy seems like the coolest guy that ever lived. And then I found a postcard of it at the Austin Antique Mall, and I'm like, where is this? I'm going right now to look at it. And then I put in Google Maps the address, and it was like apartment block coming soon.
Yeah, bummer.
Did you ever get a chance to eat there?
No, I didn't. That was a little before my time. I mean, I ate at Frisco. I think you might be talking about there's another place that used to be like back in the Nighthawk heyday that was on Burnett Road also.
Nighthawk, yes, but I think it is Frisco, but it had a different name before. I think it was actually, I think one of the first integrated restaurants. Like I think I was reading the Austin history that it was there since the segregation days and the owner didn't believe in that. So he would warn patrons in line, hey, everyone's mixed in here. I don't really care what you think.
Awesome.
It looked like the coolest building ever and it's gone.
Yeah, they're not building more old stuff.
That's very true. But Franklin Barbecue hopefully becomes one of those googie things where it's sitting there in 50 years.
I hope so. I don't know if that building's going to make it that long.
Is it bad? Is it in bad shape?
It's in the best shape it's ever been in right now. Our maintenance is pretty heavy duty.
Well, at least you know what you're doing. I mean, if you had me running it, you'd be screwed. It would just fall down. I can't do the handy stuff you do.
Yeah, we have a full-time, kind of like grounds maintenance, because it's not just one restaurant. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. But man, the maintenance projects are crazy. I mean, it's like there's just always like a renovation on this room or this, or you're like, oh, I gotta, it's nuts. We spend so much time and money on maintenance.
Yeah, another cost people don't ever think about. That
Yep.
looks really good, Jackson.
It's coming. I'm about to start doing the halftone stuff. What do you think about this, Aaron? You probably don't even.
I think it looks awesome.
I'm sitting over a drawing. I hope he likes this.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Wah, wah.
No, it is looking really cool.
And then you're also doing now, like I saw that your smokers, you produced a guide with Gorilla Suit, like a manual. It was freaking awesome, man. I hate to use the word again, but I nerded out on it for like 25 minutes. Like that is
I'm really
awesome.
proud of that manual. It turned out so good.
The studio seems cool too that did it.
Oh man, they're great. They do incredible stuff. Really small. They don't work on a ton of stuff, but what they do work on, they definitely pick and choose what they want to work on.
And besides your smoker manual, what else did they do that I was just in love with? Was that they rebranded Pearl, which I think was one of the greatest logos in history.
Oh wow!
They did all the Pearl stuff. They did Horseshoe. They do Carbach, all the new Carbach stuff. But
so good.
Yeah, they do some really impressive stuff. Very
so
talented.
You have the big restaurant, and then now you do smokers. And like, what made you transition to that? Because that seems like another pain in the ass, like manufacturing process. Like it seems like you like it for a lot. What's that?
It's a huge pain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I could go back in time.
Have you seen his smokers, Jackson?
Oh yes, I have seen the smokers.
Man, they're nice. And right now we're producing more per week than we've ever done. We've taken over so much space in the shop. Man, we're putting out the best pits we've ever put out. That's right awesome. Now. They're just incredible.
Has that part of the business and like the online stuff, has that really, taken off since the pandemic stuff happened?
It's about the same. We're always in a pull situation where we, it's a 680 pound cooker.
Oh, wow.
That takes a lot of labor to build, and like now we're rolling our cook chambers instead of using pipe because the specs were always too far out on pipes. So the amount of work that goes into it, we can never mass produce enough to catch up to like our sales.
Right.
So we're just keep making as many as we can. But I mean, really, we're putting out real soon we'll be doing about 20, 25 a week.
Wow.
Which is a huge number for us.
Now are you guys producing like all of you're not like buying tanks or anything like that. You're producing everything?
No, it's all virgin American steel.
I can't imagine.
American steel is far superior, but also way more expensive. But I think the payoff in having a barbecue pit that's made with all American parts is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. That's something I really like. I remember I worked at like a camera store in Los Angeles called Sammy's Camera, like when I was in college, and this guy came in and he was, BSing with me at the counter, and he said, where most of our steel comes from now? Where most of our steel goes, it's getting shipped over to China. This was like 20 years ago. And I thought that can't be true. Oh, it is? It's coming back to you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's like you look at Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh's population decline is what a beautiful city. Like if you go to Pittsburgh and look at the bridges, you're like, wow, this is an underrated place.
Oh man, they've got some really cool buildings around there.
Now, wasn't your original plan to move to Philadelphia?
Yeah, long time ago. We couldn't find a yard big enough for my barbecue pit, so we just made
That's so random to me.
Back to Austin.
That's so random to me. So you're in here in Austin, and then you're thinking like what?
I mean, I think we were just, granted, we were both in our 20s. This is quite a while ago.
I remember those days too.
Yeah. Boy, my back didn't hurt as bad. But yeah, just kind of, we didn't have anything to lose. I mean, there was no reason to start a barbecue place in Austin. The scene certainly wasn't what it is now. So it didn't really matter where we went. I think, I really don't think Franklin Barbecue would have worked out the same if we'd been in Philadelphia. Duh. It worked out for the best. I'm glad we came back to Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, so you actually did make the move.
We didn't. No, we were headed there. We were like, we're kind of homesick. Let's go back to Austin.
So you went out there to visit, just like to get the lay of the land and that kind of
I've
thing?
been there a ton of times, like looking for houses and stuff. I used to play music and tour a fair bit. And I always liked Philadelphia, and we had some good friends up there and stuff too.
That's cool.
I still love Philadelphia, but I don't think I want to live there.
But I bet, just thinking about even with like my own business and playing cards, just like I bet one of the reasons why the barbecue scene in Austin became what it was, and just the popularity of Franklin barbecue was because there wasn't a scene there, and you guys kind of maybe were a big part in creating it.
That's likely. That could be a true statement.
It's a nice, modest way to say it. I like that.
It's true, because if you go to like Oakwood Cemetery and then you look at like the neighborhood and you see how close Franklin is to it. I was telling my wife a couple weeks ago, I said, if you were here even 10 years ago, it's a completely different area.
Oh yeah.
Like food wise, even there wasn't just these kind of little food places. I don't know. It's really like you've kind of created a magnet industry there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Do you ever go back to Bryan, where you're from?
What's that?
You ever go back to Bryan, where you're from, and see it and think about?
I try not to. Maybe for Christmas.
Yeah.
We do occasionally. Most of my family lives in College Station now, but I'll kind of cruise through downtown Bryan, and there's some really cool buildings down there too. And it's really come a long way. There's some good restaurants, and people have fixed up and kind of rehabbed a lot of old stuff. But yeah, it's not a terrible place by any means.
My best buddy Ken Joe, he was a professor of planning at A&M, and he lived in Round Rock because he did not want to live in College Station. He rented an apartment there for 6 months, and he said, he's originally from Los Angeles. He's like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, well, that drive doesn't seem that bad on a map, but if you do the drive, you know how monotonous that would get.
It's just tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Yep.
He said, not that College Station is a bad town. It's a great town, and the university's great, etc. But just to live, if you like city amenities, I mean, it's not really the same thing.
No, it's not really might not cut the mustard. That's my dog.
What kind of dog is it?
So on The Simpsons, if Santa's helper.
Yes.
She's that dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hey, you guys mind if I top off my coffee real quick?
No, go right ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I'll be right back.
That looks so good, Jackson.
I hope so. Hope he likes it.
Well, I think he will. And also the good thing about Aaron is that he's so nice. I don't think he would even tell us if he didn't. I love the Pantones that they have, though. When I looked at their EPS kit, I thought, man, that's the perfect aqua and the perfect orange. That's so good, Jackson.
There's a little flame in their logo on his side piece here, little strap.
Yeah, and he has the books that come in like a slipcase now with the flame logo on it.
Yeah.
I love that wallpaper, though. I mean, I think we need to do a Franklin V2 with just that wallpaper.
No, that wallpaper's great.
Just watch for the Jackson Robinson wallpaper edition coming soon.
The Franklin wallpaper edition.
Sweet.
We need the V2. So, Aaron, what's your day-to-day like? Are you involved with the smoker? I mean, I remember you used to hand cut every brisket.
Yeah, I don't hand cut the briskets anymore.
Hey, it looks good, though. Let me tell you. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much wake up, fix the kid her lunch, get her off to school, and then hit the ground running after that. I mean, get home about 8:20 and, dip right into work. And I kind of just make the rounds all day. I head to the restaurant, check in, a Zoom here, a phone call here, do this, meet up with this person, run down to the welding shop, head up north, do this. And I pretty much work out of my truck, I guess. Pick up this trailer, move this thing, go pick up materials, jump on a plane, fly up here, check this thing out, come back. I'm just I move around a lot.
Well, you also have Lauro. If anyone watching has been to Lauro.
I rarely make it that far south.
Really?
It is such a struggle. I get there as often as I can, which isn't very often, sadly. They don't need me. Those guys are great. Like there's no job there for me to do. But man, crossing the river in Austin these days.
I know.
And it was like, oh, well, that's going to be 3 hours of my day just to get down there. It's like, I don't have 3 hours. I need to I got to stick and move.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you learn about owning your own business is time management. Because in the beginning, you want to be everything to everyone, and then you realize I can't do it.
You can't do it. And really, as businesses grow and things change, and other people get better at doing what they're doing, you kind of realize it's like, oh, well, I'm not needed here, and you just kind of got to have good fluidity. I mean, you got to just slip into the cracks where you're needed. And, and if it's more administrative and just kind of managing managers and stuff, I guess that's my job now.
I remember when I went there years ago, there was, we were sitting down and I think you were gone because you were having a child. So I was expecting, you to be there cutting the brisket. This was a long time ago. And
I did go back to work though, the day after my wife gave birth.
Really?
And she still is so mad at me for that.
Really? Oh, really?
She brings it up often. She's like, yeah, you left me at the hospital to go to work. I'm like, it's our business. Like I had to go,
Gotta pay.
That is so funny.
Gotta pay for this kid.
Yeah, maybe in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that.
I remember being there though, and Benji was the general manager, and he came over to my table. We actually were there early enough to get a table, which you don't have many of inside. And he was asking, how is the food and everything? And I made a joke. I said, well, you saw the line. You really don't have to care. Like you're doing pretty well. And he said, no, we have to care twice as much, because if we're letting down that many people that are coming to wait, the stakes are higher. And I always thought, well, that's a great business because you had the fame of, the restaurant, et cetera, but you still were upholding quality that much. It's hard to do. I wish more people did it.
That reminds me
of
a
dog again.
That's reminded me of a little thing. I read this. I saw one of those just like those one image, not really a meme, but just a one image like inspirational thing. And it had, and I don't watch sports that much, but it had a picture of Kobe Bryant. And he had like a big like bandage on his shoulder. And they asked his wife, why did Kobe play through so many injuries? And he was like, well, what if that game somebody had saved up for 3 months to come and watch the game, but I was there not playing through the injury. And that just reminds me, for some reason that reminded me of that this morning.
Yeah, that's I think Robert Smith from The Cure, if you like The Cure, I think he said that before, that like when they would do 3-hour concerts and they would play all their original songs, he said, I hate bands that just want to play their their new stuff. People spend a week of their work to come see me. They're going to hear Love Song and all the original songs.
Yeah.
Got to do the hits, man. Got to do the hits.
Well, that. Weren't you a drummer?
Yeah. I wouldn't say we had any hits, but I was definitely a drummer.
You ever still drum?
No, I don't. I play in a band. I play guitar. My dad bod doesn't get along playing drums too much these days. I still have a drum kit. I still every once in a while bang around, but it's hard to play drums by yourself though. Like you can sit on the couch and just noodle around on a guitar, drink a cup of coffee in the morning and stuff. But I mean, drums is a real volume commitment.
Volume commitment.
Yeah. Well, what kind of guitar do you have?
Thanks, honey. You can stop. I play mostly Gibsons. These days I'm playing SGs.
Okay.
The lightweight, you can throw them around. I kind of prefer some, like a Gibson Firebird, but they're huge, right? But I like how thin they are, and they kind of have a cooler, like thinner tone. And I really love a Les Paul, except they just they're not super comfortable for me. And an SG is kind of right in the middle.
So that kind of threw me off. I thought for sure you were going to be a Fender guy, being a Googie guy.
No, that's weird. But so a Gibson Firebird, that was designed, I think, in 1957. And I think, not Virgil Exner. I'm trying to think of who designed that. But it was a guy that had also designed some cool cars.
Virgil Exner was famous for the fins.
Yep, that's right.
What was he at Chrysler? Maybe I believe.
I think he was a Chrysler guy. Yeah, he might have moved around, but man, there were so many of those fellas back in the day, though, just making cool stuff.
My grandpa drove a '57 Custom Royal that was black and white.
Sorry, the dog was barking. Come again?
My grandfather drove a '57 Dodge Custom Royal with the big fins, and it was black and white.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I love those designs.
It's getting loud around my house right now. Sorry.
Well, if you have to go, we totally understand.
Oh no, I'm all good. I'm not done with this cup of coffee yet.
I love the halftone, Jackson.
Man, it's looking so good.
You have the great Pantones, man. I just like. Did you actually go through a Pantone book to pick your identity system, the colors?
No, not really. I think Blair did when she did that original logo, and we're just kind of like, I think she just put some colors in there. Like, yeah, looks great.
She's a great designer.
I would blame her.
Well, that's a good blame to have.
Yeah, it's that logo's and those colors have been around for quite a while now.
That's good. Are you a big movie guy?
I used to be really into movies. When we opened the barbecue trailer, I didn't really have time to watch movies, and we still don't really have 2 hours to sit down and watch a movie.
Oh, I know. It gets harder as you go on. But who are your favorite directors when you used to have a bit of free time?
Oh, big David Lynch fan.
Same here.
Yeah. Everybody's favorites, of course.
Okay, that's why I asked, because when we were talking about fins, I remember a David Lynch quote where he was saying that I missed the days of before aerodynamics came into play and we had cars with big fins that looked like they could have sliced somebody in half.
Yeah, and they could have sliced someone in half.
I don't know that we'll ever go back to great design like that. I think everything, like when I see new cars, I just think like nothing's that exciting to me.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, we'll never get back on that. But that's kind of what makes them so cool, though.
That's right.
I tend to kind of like things that maybe are unobtainable or hard to get. That goes for cars, music, all the stuff. But yeah, I guess it just kind of makes them even cooler.
Same here. Like I'll be designing a deck, and my wife will be like, "No one's going to get that reference, but you. You're really ruining this because of one reference that you want to put in there because you're an obscure person." I'm like, yeah, that's right.
It's like no one gets your bad jokes. It's too obscure.
I know.
I remember my dad. My dad would watch, and I would watch it when I was in high school. The Barrett Jackson auto auctions.
Oh yeah.
And I remember there was this guy, and my dad would like light up when this guy would come on. He's like, Jackson, watch this. And this guy, as they're like auctioning off the cars and they're driving them off in front of them, this guy would come on and they'd blindfold him, and he'd go over there and like grope the cars and like feel the fins and the bumper, and he would call what the car was, like year, make, and model, just by his hands all over it, feeling the fins and feeling the bumper and stuff. And he thought it was so cool. He's like, Jackson, this guy's a savant.
That's so funny.
Maybe this guy's just a weirdo. We're not sure.
Yeah, maybe he's just a weirdo.
Seems like something to do though. Right?
I can see the producers. Hey Jimmy, Frank's over here groping the cars again.
In the corner. Oh, I love fins.
Well, now what I know though is that Barrett Jackson never did background checks on their guests. What's your favorite Lynch movie, Aaron?
Man, I go Mulholland Drive maybe. I think I'm more first season Twin Peaks kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you
first season?
Well, yeah. I mean, the pilot's the best thing ever because Lynch did that.
Fire Walk with Me was incredible.
What's that?
Fire Walk with Me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super awesome.
Lynch's quote about Fire Walk with Me was, "That's a hard point where even your fans, hate your movie." With that, and he said, but it was freeing because it felt like his quote was, "It felt like you had been kicked in the teeth and thrown in the gutter, and you could only go up from there."
Nailed it.
Yeah, that's right. I know. Yeah, have you ever seen Lost Highway?
Yeah. That's a great movie too.
That's a great movie. Where what's his name? The guy who was on trial for the murder. I forget his name. Robert Blake.
Yeah, man, a bad
Robert. Remember that where he says like, go ahead, call me, and he calls him and he says, "I'm at your house. I'm there right now." I always thought that was one of the best scenes ever.
Yeah, good stuff. I need to revisit those movies. Gosh, I probably haven't seen it since it came out, actually.
Well, Lynch was smart because Lost Highway, he had the production budget, right? The cost of buying that house, which was made by Frank Lloyd Wright's son, Lloyd Wright. That house, he had them budget into the budget to buy that home for the movie, and then he acquired the house as part of a payment. So that's his house and how it was purchased.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then he hired Frank Lloyd Wright's grandson, who lives in Malibu, on land that Frank Lloyd Wright picked out and prospected in like the 20s or 30s. he updated the pool. It's called like the Beverly Johnson house. And so the grandson, because Lynch wanted it to be authentic, so he had Frank Lloyd Wright's grandson do the pool in like the cabana house.
Oh, that's neat.
That's awesome. It has this awesome like chevron tiles. I mean, it's so Lynchian, the house. It's amazing that it worked out for him.
Very cool.
We need to make a Franklin barbecue movie and get a budget for like a Googie building, maybe Pans in Los Angeles, and we can do Franklin Diner.
Oh my gosh, how much fun would that be?
Are you ever going to open a diner though? I mean, how cool would that be to do a Franklin Diner?
That sounds like a lot of work.
I know, but that's what you like, Aaron.
It's true, you know, and we're actually about to start construction on a new restaurant. It won't be barbecue, but it's my other passion, liquid brisket, also known as gumbo.
Ooh.
Wait, really?
Yeah, so maybe here in about a year-ish, we'll be opening that place, but it's on East 6th, and it's in an old building, and we got historical designation for this, so it's a full-out historical restoration, awesome. Much like my house. And so it's building, it's got a corner entrance, and it's built in, we don't know exactly when it was built, but we think about 1880 to 1890.
Wow.
You know, we've researched tons of stuff on this thing. You know, but it was when it was built in the late 1800s, it was a German butcher.
Oh, wow.
That started that place. And, you know, and then it was like a car upholstery shop, and then a German bakery for many, many years. And in the 60s, it became a place called Uptown Sports Club. And it's like this building, it's been, you know, tagged and spray painted for, you know, since probably like the mid 90s, I guess. And it's been vacant since the mid 90s too.
Really?
You know, on East 6th Street here in Austin. And, you know, it's got a dirt floor. The floor got pulled out of it, and the guys across the street reinstalled it in their building and stuff. But so we're doing that thing, and it's going to be like a gumbo po' boy kind of all day kind of place.
I had no idea. I mean, that's really out of left field. I know that we just went to the Texas State Fair, and my wife really wanted to try this fried gumbo ball, which won the best food of the fair.
Interesting.
And it was $25 when we walked up. My wife saw it and she said, wow, we just paid $40 to park when we just paid 20 last year, and now 25. I think I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
My wife's a chef. I mean, she's a big gumbo. We just went to New Orleans a couple months ago, and she was disappointed in all the gumbo she had. We hit all the spots, you know, now I'm not a big gumbo guy. My wife is. And so we went to all the spots, and she was let down. So that's exciting that you made her day, then I'll have to tell her that.
Yeah, I think fingers crossed it'll be really good. I mean, I've been making gumbos.
Well, you've never failed though. I mean, you've never had the David Lynch kicked in the teeth moment.
There's first time for everything, and
I don't know with you though. I don't think so.
Every time I do something, like maybe this is the one. Maybe this is, you know, every event that I do, which I don't really do events too much anymore. Thanks, Corona. I always go into it. I was like, God, I hope this isn't the one that I just really not perform well.
But that's why you're successful, is because you believe that you can fail. I mean, once you start believing that you're invincible, you know, you get the John Gotti syndrome.
No good on that one.
You're not going to fail. It's going to be awesome. I'm just stunned that a building was vacant since the 90s on 6th, though. It must have had some kind of curse. Maybe it's a
so it was tied up into some weird family stuff. It was left to, you know, two sons from the owners from the 60s, and one of them died, and the other one then, you know, died. And then it was really, really strange history, but it, you know, nobody was able to buy it, and not from lack of trying, for sure. Everybody wanted this building. And, you know, it turns out we were, you know, one of the partners that owns the building was a family friend of the guy that owned it, legally owned it. And when he passed, you know, the courts were like, well, you know, you could buy this building, or we put it on the market at market value. It was like, I guess I'll buy the building. So he bought the building. And then, you know, me and two other people kind of came together and was like, oh, well, we should do this. I've been wanting to do a gumbo thing forever. And the building is just, it's all brick, and it's really old, and it's really cool.
So it might be open in a year, you're saying?
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe-ish. I mean, we haven't really started construction. We're supposed to start, I think, next week. But it was really supposed to start like, you know, 2 years ago. And then we kind of put the kibosh on it because of the pandemic and stuff. We're like, well, let's, well, we were behind schedule anyway. That we were actually going to start in December of last year. And then we kind of pumped the brakes. We were like, well, this is maybe not the we don't want to be tone deaf and try to start building a restaurant when everyone's struggling so much. Like, let's keep working on some other stuff.
Fascinating. I thought you were going to say like a coffee shop when you first. I mean, that seems like the obvious thing is that you would do a coffee shop. But I mean, gumbo, that's typical.
Yeah, coffee out of left field. Though. Not good margins on that stuff.
On coffee?
Yeah,
it's very expensive now.
It's kind of like brisket. I mean, there's so much labor, and then you think about the farmers that are making not very much money, the cost of getting green beans. Here, then roasting, then you cook out the moisture, then you sell a cup of coffee for $1.50. Woof, you got to sell a lot of coffee.
Absolutely. Austin has some great coffee shops, though. My friend, when I used to visit here years ago to my friend, he used to always take me to Houndstooth.
Mm-hmm.
He liked that.
Yeah. I had an espresso at Houndstooth yesterday, actually. It's a good shop.
Awesome.
So you've been experimenting with gumbo for the last year or two?
No, I'd say since I started cooking brisket.
Wow, I had no idea.
It is really the kind of like OG roots of my cooking history is from Southern Louisiana. My grandfather was from Southern Louisiana, and when I was growing up and kind of didn't really learn how to cook from them necessarily, but like I was certainly inspired, and beef tips and rice and making like etouffees and stuff like that, and just kind of the way that I naturally like cook, just like pot roast and stuff like that, is all from my grandparents that, I grew up just hanging out their house every day. They live next door to the record store. And so this is kind of a spinoff. And then, again, my future is so predictable.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, I think I'm finished for this at least little first draft here.
And I think it's looking great, and that's good timing because I'm about to back into something else coming up here real soon.
Sweet. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us. It's been a blast, and I get to do what I love to do, which is draw playing cards. So,
Nice.
and talk barbecue. And I got to go check on my ribs right now. Thanks for reminding me.
Your fire's probably out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're looking, you're not cooking. But. Anyways, I appreciate your time, Aaron, and also thanks to Brad for just kind of putting this together. And now that we've kind of started this wheel in motion, just for my people that follow me, I'm excited about this project, and I can't wait to do more of it, and my people are excited about it too, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, super cool. Well, thank you guys so much for doing it.
It's a great time, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Great hanging out, great talking to y'all, and the cards are looking awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Can't wait to see him.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Hope the fire's not out, Jackson.
You're still there, Brad. I still
What's
see
that?
you. We're still live. I still see you.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
I was gonna say bye to you personally. So
Well, that's good because we have a thing, Jackson. We have a close bond here.
There's a lot of people that are like this the first time they've seen you without your shades and a cowboy hat.
Well, Jackson, I had to step it up. This is sponsored by Franklin Barbecue, and I want to associate myself with the best. And I think that, I'm looking really hot with it.
What are you doing here with me?
Well, I want to associate myself with the best, like I'm saying.
That's fun.
Anybody crazy enough to say they're going to do a playing card subscription to me is one of the top-notch people in the world.
Well, I thought that went good. Seems like you like it
It's
too.
awesome. I mean, it's amazing. Like when we were first planning this project, I never would have imagined court cards to look like this because they're just out of my realm of possibility. I mean, they're awesome. And you even went and got the Dexter knife, which Aaron's famous for.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull from his products page and just get all the stuff that they have.
Well, I think at first it sounds weird. Like, okay, we're gonna do a deck with a barbecue shop, but if you know anything about anything, Franklin's not like a barbecue shop. It is like an entity of its own, highest end making.
I would call it a barbecue occult. Probably a good phrase for it.
Oh yeah. People wait 5 hours. I mean, like I said, I got there at 6 a.m. They don't open till 11. My friend and I were 15 back. By the end of the time, there was people who were just showing up, hours later. It was insane.
Yeah. Well, as he would say, I'm backing into something else too, as well.
Yeah, you're backing into putting your fire back on.
Yeah, I've got my Traeger going, so it's not going to go out.
You need a Franklin smoker now. You got to get your name in there.
I do. I bet you there's a wait list. I'm guessing.
I was trying to. I didn't want to tell Aaron when he was on, but I was trying to steal one a week ago, and I couldn't get it in my Honda Odyssey van.
You should have gotten that full conversion size van.
Hey, I was gonna steal you. I was gonna steal you one too. Don't make fun of me, Jackson. I was looking out for you too.
Well, man, had fun. Thanks for setting that up.
Time as always.
And at least I think we got a good start.
It's awesome.
I tell you what, I didn't know how I feel about the colors in the court cards in the beginning, but it's kind of one of those things of like, because like, when I see this, I think of Miami Dolphins, and like, I would never think to use these colors, but I think that it's starting to grow on me a little bit.
It's funny though, like I have football team references too, and I'm not even a big football fan, but just like, like when I see blue and silver, I'm like, oh, it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or so I thought Miami Dolphins too, but their colors are a little more like, they chose better Pantones for Franklin than they did for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and I also think it's, I think it's easy to kind of go with the trope of, oh, it's Texas barbecue, let's do, red, white, and blue for Texas and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's good.
What's 50s? It's Googie. I mean, now we learned from Aaron, how much he's passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, Brad, it's been a joy, pleasure as always.
It's been a pleasure as always, Jackson.
All right, man. Take it easy. Have a good day.
Take care, buddy. You too.
Later.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Peace.